Hi. You guys have to excuse me if I'm a little bit nervous. Normally, if I'm in front of this many people, I'm taking off my clothes. I'll try not to do that now, but I will talk about feminism. OK, so I want to start off with a little bit of therapy. If you could all think back to your childhood with me. You can close your eyes if it helps. OK, so you're very, very small, and you're playing with your favorite toy. Can you think about that toy for me? What did it look like? Who gave it to you? How did you play with it? OK, I see you're closing your eyes. Thank you. If you have your toy, open your eyes. Fine. Now, for how many of you, did your toy have wheels, or did it move? Was it maybe blue or green or red? Did it have bendable elbows, bendable knees? Did it look maybe designed to kill or maim something? Or maybe your toy was pink or purple or pastel. Maybe you could brush it or dress it. Maybe you carried it, or it stayed in one place, or recreated some kind of household activity. OK, so in the interest of disclosure, I'll show you a picture of my favorite toy. Is this too loud? No? OK, good. All right, so this is the ultra enviable Barbie ice cream shop, OK? Designed in 1987, purchased in 1991, and received on my 6th birthday. So what do we have here? Well, designed to stay in one place, yes. It's pink, it's pastel, it's fabulous. It's not working. There we go. It teaches you the culinary arts of ice cream making and the value of good hair. And one day, maybe you too can have a preppy boyfriend sitting at your countertop. Now, why am I going back to the 1980s right now, or right then? And it's because I want to take us back to an early memory where design begins to influence our gender identity. So a toy can teach a child about how to, a toy can teach a child to act and to be industrious in the case of an action figure or truck. Or for a fashion doll or kitchen set, maybe it's teaching the value of appearance and domesticity. And I think that we can agree that these are values that we want all children to have. But often by design, these toys are created to appeal to only some children. And moreover, those toys, along with the clothing and the characters, the games, the products, the advertisement that we encounter every day, these all start to shape our understanding of our own gender, of how we are supposed to appear and behave. All of these things are designed. So I would argue that designers and creatives, you and I, have as much or more influence than politicians or religion or celebrities over society's understanding of gender and identity. So it is our job as designers to shorten the distance between ignorance and knowledge. Layout design should quickly and beautifully convey ideas and information. User experience design, I'm going to get this, quickly navigates us through content and data exchange. And signage systems should tell us where to go or how to be safe when we get there. And how do we do this? We do this efficiently because we use design patterns and systems, right? These are the symbols, the typography, the colors, the images that make it really easy to say, hi, this is for you. Or maybe, this is how you should be. Or even, you don't belong. I do love this chocolate, by the way. So, you know, we use terms like masculine and feminine to talk about our design aesthetic, but what does that really mean? And I know that design reflects the world around us, but it also starts to shape and create the world around us, right? We can use design to challenge or to fortify these conventional gender norms, right, that have often led to societal inequality. As designers, we're all responsible for every piece of the work that we put out into the world. So the images we advertise with and the data that we collect and use and the assumptions that we make about our audience, we always have to consider whether these things are limiting or harmful in any way. But when we work to break down some of those really restrictive masculine and feminine design systems, we can start to create and shape a world where people of any gender can move more fluidly as individuals and not as members of a demographic. And this, I think, means that design has the power to expand our spectrum of acceptable gender expression. Okay, so fine, how do we do this? Easiest, number one design principle, design for function, right? Like, we all know this, but too often I see this fail. So I'll give you two examples. A couple weeks ago, I was out at a bar with a group of friends of mine, and my one friend, Emmy, showed up to the bar wearing a very spiffy outfit, black and white polka dot shirt, a black skinny tie, a white jacket, and red pants, all purchased from the women's department. And about an hour after we get there, another person shows up at the bar wearing a black and white polka dot shirt, a black skinny tie, a white jacket, and red pants. So we think, obviously, this is great. We take a picture, but we all decide very quickly that his is actually the superior outfit. Why? Because his outfit had 8 real pockets, and hers had no real pockets, but it did have 5 fake pockets. When we make design decisions like these, they are not only stupid, but they also reinforce the expectation of a woman to appear and of a man to act. Her outfit is designed for style. His is designed for function. I can think of no good reason to not include a pocket in a pair of pants or in a jacket. It's lazy and it's negligent. But negligence can do more than just annoy your consumer. It can also put them in danger. So I was speaking about giving this talk recently to someone, and she offered me a story of a time that she had been walking home late at night, and a man started following her in the streets. And she was a bit nervous, especially when he started yelling at her and coming closer. But she remembered that she was carrying pepper spray in her purse. So when she told the guy to back off, and then he actually went to grab at her, she turned to spray him, but found that her long fingernails hit a guard that prevented her from pulling the trigger. This is a self-defense product marketed to and sold to women, but it fails to operate when the woman has a fashionable manicure. So I know that as designers, we often have the best of intentions when we make our design decisions, but sometimes we can fail if we haven't fully considered the full range of our audience's gender expression. Right? I know that Emmy does not want to carry a purse, and that Nicole is not going to cut off her nails. So don't make your audience solve your design problems. Instead, test your work with a diversity of users and find out, is your work functioning equally for all of them? Could you be doing more? Does it succeed as well as a product that may be marketed to another gender? And so I think this leads me in equally to design for individuals, not for demographics. So I ride motorcycles. My basement is full of power tools, and I like to spend my weekends demolishing and rebuilding parts of my house. My deodorant, which you can smell later, smells like bear claw, which I don't think is a smell, but it is marketed to me by a man who claims to be the man your man can smell like. But despite these butch tendencies, I also like to wear red lipstick, and I enjoy pink wine. But I do not want to buy a pink toolbox or a Burton lipstick snowboard. I'm not interested in your lesbian dating app, and I am certainly not drinking white girl rosé. But all of these products are aggressively marketed to me because I am a member of, or I represent, a demographic of apparently extreme sports, drill welding, wine drinking lesbians. So what do? I mean, research and statistics are very important, yes, but so is questioning all of the assumptions and all the conclusions that we're making from that research. Bias is something that's self-fulfilling, right? We're always going to tend toward the data that supports what we already believe to be true. But we can start to break down that cycle by treating people as individuals that are not defined by quantifiable characteristics like age, gender, and race. So I won't get into the debate about whether personas are still relevant for design, but if you do use personas in your design process, I challenge you to rewrite them without reference to demographic data. And furthermore, remove a picture of a person. Consider what picture of a human being will do to your mind, even if it's served up with the exact same data. Who are you designing for? So instead, replace an image of a person with images that represent their needs, their desires, their wants, their motivations, and see how far it gets you. And remember that this is relevant also for the images that we use to market to the end consumer. Every time you include a photograph of a human being, remember that it will activate certain assumptions in your audience. So just think about what communications are you making with some of those selections. Okay, ready? Here's where it gets tricky. Consider that gender may be more expansive than just male and female. We've traditionally understood gender as a bias, as a binary, as masculine and feminine, as pink and blue. But gender is a gray area, and more people are becoming comfortable today expressing that gray area. Among young people under 22, we're seeing a major shift away from the gender binary toward a much more fluid generation. They aren't buying as many gendered products. They don't believe that a person's gender matters as much today as it used to. And in the States, at least, over 50% of young people know somebody personally who uses a gender-neutral pronoun or who identifies as neither fully male nor fully female. So I think that this is probably the most palpable when we consider space design in the public restroom. So imagine just being faced with these two signs when neither one of them may fully represent you and neither one of them may be a safe space to pee without facing potential for harassment and violence. I work in hospitality, so I challenge my clients when they are opening a new hotel or restaurant to serve all gender, single stall restrooms as an option that makes their guests feel more comfortable and feel safer, which I think is the base level of hospitality. So we may not all work in space design, but many of us do work in interactive and experiential. We work with data, and data loves binaries, right? Data needs to be tidy. We like when it returns known values. But human beings are not known values. And so this is why things like AI and facial recognition often fail when confronted with somebody who doesn't represent one of our two tidy categories. It may be able to recognize somebody's biology, but it still fails if that person does not self-label as one of our two binaries or who lives their existence a bit differently. And to that respect, it's disrespectful and dehumanizing in many ways to an already marginalized population. So, okay, very simple, the online form. We use these all the time to buy something or to make a doctor's appointment or to sign up for a dating app or to book a hotel room. And everybody wants to know our gender. So usually we get a radio button or maybe a drop-down menu that tells somebody whether you're a married woman or a single woman or want to, get your doctoral degree. But again, what happens if you don't fit into one of these selections? The results can be dehumanizing or maybe even dangerous in the case of a medical or a romantic interaction. And for brands, it may just mean bad marketing or losing customers who won't stand for being misgendered. So if you design a form, first ask yourself, do I really need to know this person's gender and why? If it's for marketing purposes, maybe look at some other data that may give you a better chance of marketing to them. And if you do need to ask somebody's gender, make sure that you offer up why you are asking. Remember that transparency is a key tenet of ethical design. And furthermore, offer them the option to self-explain their gender. It will go a long way in making sure that the part of the population that needs to self-describe feels heard and visible, and it will also allow your data to be more representative of your true audience. Finally, no, somebody do it for me, that way. I mean, I don't need the slides. Can you skip it? All right, well, educate. We are designers, we are creatives, we can create compelling messages, and we can use those compelling messages, there we go, in order to influence and inform the brands, the companies, the audiences that we work with. I look at designers at companies like Swedish game developer Tokaboka that have created a philosophy of gender neutrality in their character design. These are characters that defy gender norms or who have no identifiable gender at all. And what this means is that traditionally segregated games like Hair Salon and Robot Lab can appeal to any child. The company has adopted their designer's philosophy, and they speak up about the importance of gender neutrality in developing children's products. What's more, they regularly audit their own games to make sure that it's standing up to this philosophy. So I know I've talked a lot about children. We can talk about a more adult topic. How about menstruation? I'm going to go out on a limb and say that this is a pretty traditionally gendered product space. But Thinx is a brand that showed up a few years ago that is period-proof underwear that replaces pads and tampons. And in 2016, they took out a big media buy out of home that featured a male acquaintance of mine. The tagline, "For people with periods." The company faced backlash and controversy to bring visibility to transgender men who are often very invisible in our media. And they pointed out that in this case, menstruation isn't always just a woman's issue. And rather than going down in flames, the company has been very successful and applauded for their inclusive design and inclusive stance. But you don't have to be a brand with a big media budget in order to educate, because we have Behance and Instagram and all kinds of great media platforms that allow other designers to share thought pieces and art projects. I came across this project by some local Moscow designers called Genders that explores the 58 genders that pre-populate Facebook's auto search field. I'm not going to butcher their names, but they're amazing, very talented. And this is work that is, not only beautiful, it's also informative, and it's collectible and playable as a card game. I thought it was a beautiful example of using a voice. So I know that these topics are polarizing and often oversimplified, right? I mean, I hear the challenge all the time that when we try to be inclusive of everybody, when we try to offend nobody, that we really limit our ability to be creative and expressive, that maybe we'll end up in some sort of beige, asexual, dystopian future, some sort of like George Lucas sad vision of the world. But instead, I would challenge you to question how confining our current system is when we rely on the symbols and the typography and the images that reinforce normative gender expressions. I mean, isn't, by definition, a binary less vibrant than a spectrum? But when we question tradition, and when we stop relying on our assumptions, and when we design beyond the edge case, I think that we act as not only more ethical designers, but we also open up a richer world of expression and imagination. And that's the end.
Thank you very much, Kali. Are there any questions?